Alive and alert on the north side of the dirt. It is your man D-Real coming at you with another Be Real with D-Real, where edutainment is what I do. Saw a video yesterday. And to be more specific, I saw a video yesterday, or should I say more specifically, because this is important, a video clip of Richard Dreyfuss. Talking to I think her name is Margaret Hoover, is the hostess of the Firing Line now. I remember it used to be F. William Buckley a long time ago. I will watch it. It's good to see people get into it sometimes on Firing Line. But anyway, he made a statement that has made my segment of Make It Make Sense. Okay. Academy Award winning actor, best known probably for his roles in Jaws, Close Encounters of the Third Kind, and other stuff. Mr. Holland's Opus. He's had a couple. I think he played Bernie Madoff in a movie about the Ponzi scheme. That cat. I think he played him. He's had a lot of dynamic roles in his career, and he has a career that spans decades. Okay, so he's an accomplished actor. Okay, and he made a statement in a video clip that is eyebrow raising. And I'm gonna play the clip for you here in a second, and then we're going to talk about that clip, and then I am going to edutain a little bit, just a little bit, not a lot, just a little bit. Okay. But before we get off into all that, I need y'all to do what you always do for me. Comment, like, subscribe, and share the Be Real with D-Real page so that when new material comes out, you get it. If you're digging what a brother's shoveling, put some dirt in my bucket. Comment, like, subscribe, and share all of this. Okay, Richard Dreyfuss video. Pay attention. Listen close. This is going to be interesting.
This is an art form. It's also a form of commerce, and it makes money, but it's an art. And no one should be telling me as an artist that I have to give in to the latest, most current idea of what morality is. And what are we risking? Are we really risking hurting people's feelings? You can't legislate that. And you have to let life be life. And I'm sorry, I don't think that there's a minority or a majority in the country that has to be catered to like that. Yeah. You know, Laurence Olivier was the last white actor to play Othello. And he did it in 1965. And he did it in blackface. And he played a black man brilliantly. Am I being told that I will never have a chance to play a black man? Is someone else being told that if they're not Jewish, they shouldn't play The Merchant of Venice? Mm-hmm. Are we crazy? Do we not know that art is art? This is so patronizing. It's so thoughtless and treating people like children.
Do you think there's a difference between the question of representation and who is allowed to represent other groups? For example, as you said, somebody representing the Merchant of Venice. And the case of blackface explicitly in this country, given the history of slavery and the sensitivities around Black racism. Do you think there's a difference between those?
There shouldn't be.
Ooh, okay. Do you think there's a difference, given the sensitivities with Black racism in this country? He dodged the question. There shouldn't be. That's not what Margaret asked you, Richard. She asked you about the difference in sensitivities. He said it shouldn't be. That was a cunning dodge. But let me just give y'all some reference here, just so you understand what's going on. First, this is a whole 30-minute interview. That's what I want to say first. This interview, it's like 27 minutes and some seconds, but it takes place over the course of a 30-minute program. Okay. Richard Dreyfuss talked about way more in that interview than just being or desiring the need to play a Black man. You heard him say he doesn't think there's a minority or a majority that needs to be catered to in this country. I agree. Unfortunately, there is indeed a demographic that is being catered to in this country. If it wasn't, 1% of the population would not control the vast majority of the wealth in this country. This entire interview was about he has this initiative and he's written this book about bolstering the knowledge of civics in school, of focusing more on giving people a civic education, people having a civic education. And he brought up some excellent points. One of the points he brought up was every person seeking to earn citizenship in this country has to take a test. And I know some of y'all have seen that test floating around on Facebook or on social media somewhere. Can you pass the civic test that they give to foreign nationals seeking citizenship? Can people living in this country, could you give the citizenship test right now to a teenager and they pass? Could you give the citizenship test to a college student and they pass it? Okay, that's something that needs to be done. I in that instance, I agree with Richard Dreyfuss. Okay. He also said he grew up in a leftist community and that his mom was a communist and that he is a Republican. Okay, so he's probably very adamant about some of his views, probably and specifically about individualism and not allowing oneself to be controlled by the government. But that's neither here nor there. Let's get to what my man said about Laurence Olivier and Othello. Okay, Eamon Walker, Hugh Corsi, Lawrence Fishburne. Now, I don't know what people think about these actors. Anyway, they're all Black actors, is what I'm getting at. They're all Black actors who have played Othello. Now, before Laurence Olivier played Othello in blackface, Orson Welles, yeah, Mr. War of the Worlds, Mr. Citizen Kane, played Othello in blackface. Okay? Now, He doesn't, what was his quote? He doesn't want to cater to the current idea of morality in this country. His words, real quick. Outside of the early 20th century, when has it been acceptable to do blackface? Even when Orson Welles was doing blackface, it wasn't cool, but it was like the 1950s. So what could you do about it? When Laurence Olivier did Othello, it was 1965. What was going on with black people in 1965? Okay, so again, it's Richard Dreyfuss's attention to individualism in this particular instance, blackface. That doesn't make sense to me. It's your individual right to go around offending people. That is essentially what he's saying. He also said something very interesting during that interview, and I strongly suggest y'all watch it, that we as a people in this country are too easily offended. He also made an excellent point about people shouldn't learn anything in high school in this country about European history before they learn about the history of this country first. And I ain't just talking about colonialism. I'm talking about the indigenous people in this country. What are their habits? What did they do? Where did they go? So on and so forth. And so it was a really interesting interview until we got to that part about the blackface. Mr. Dreyfuss, that doesn't make any sense. It's 2023. Sensibilities change. Habits change. People change. At one point in time in the 20th century, it was okay to beat your children with a wet rope, and no one would say anything. In the 20th century, at one point, it was okay to cut a man's testicles off, stuff them in his mouth, lynch him, and set him on fire. And need I remind folks, lynching just only recently became a federal offense. So this is what I say about people who cling so tightly to the history that suits them. Okay, history changes. Prior to 2008, there were no presidents of color. There were no vice presidents of color. History morphs. History changes. History amalgamates and forms different things, not this one linear set of values, ideas, and happenings. That's not what history is. History is what happens, not what you would like to have. That's not history. You like to play a black man. Well, maybe you should have did it in the 70s when you probably wouldn't have got as much blowback about it. Plus, you're a little long on the tooth, bro. I don't see you doing Othello. I mean, currently, he's not suited to that role. Maybe he was just speculating, but even if he wanted to play Clarence Thomas, I don't think I would get Richard Dreyfuss to play Clarence Thomas in blackface. I wouldn't get Richard Dreyfuss to play Ben Carson in blackface. You know what I'm saying? There in no way, shape, form is it acceptable in 2023 for a short, round Caucasian man to say, I want to play Othello, when there have been so many white actors prior to when was the first time a black actor played Othello? Was it Lawrence Fishburne in 95? Was that the first time a black actor played a black character? Make it make sense. Okay, the arrogance of Caucasian Hollywood to say, I could play a black actor I could play a black role better than a black actor can. So while we at it, why don't we just let Richard Dreyfuss play T'Challa? Why don't we cut Mahershala Ali out and let Richard Dreyfuss play Blade? Let him do that. Let you know what I'm saying? Let him play Ike Turner. Let's see how well Richard Dreyfuss could play Ike Turner. You know what I'm saying? Oh, that's not the black role I want. I want Othello. I get it. I understand. And I'm not mad at Richard Dreyfuss. I'm just make it make sense, Richard Dreyfuss. Whether you were saying that speculating, whether you were saying that as an example, it's not a good example. And I wouldn't even say because of the color of his skin, the way he looks. You know what I'm saying? He's potato shaped. I mean, doesn't Othello have to cut some kind of, look to him? Don't he have to look a certain way? Don't he have to be, not coming in there, let me stop. I think I've said enough. And what do y'all think about Richard Dreyfuss making that statement? Whether he meant it literally or figuratively, it doesn't vibe well in our current society. Whether we talk about folks being woke or any of that type mess, it ain't even because of it. It don't work in 2023, Richard Dreyfuss. That's why. Too much stuff going on. Too many people saying too much stuff they ain't got no business saying. Too many people saying stuff and doing stuff they ain't got no business doing. They still over in the Netherlands celebrating a Sinterklaas celebration with Black Pete. And they got somebody dressed up in blackface. He's not black, he's Danish. He's a Moor. Sound like them Cleopatra people to me. That's it for now. But I will be coming at you with another one of them other ones. And until I do, yeah, y'all be good. Be good to each other.